Hello YouTube, March 17th. This is Redneck Hobbies. I'm just doing a brief sharpening video. I'm just going to show you to the best of my knowledge how I do this and what I understand on explaining. And I'm not endorsing any of these products necessarily, just showing that this is what I use. I just had the thought of legal issues, so I hope there are none, but this is a Harbor Freight stone. I got it over there. It's just where I bought it, but it's got a coarse side here and a smooth side here. You start with your coarse stones, and then you go to a smoother one. And I was watching a Stumpy Nubs video, I think his name is, but I'll put the link down when I figure out how to do that. I'll put a link to his channel, I think. And he was saying how back in the day people used regional stones for sharpening, and you didn't always have so many different different coarsenesses on your stones, so you would usually only have 2 or 3 stones sharpen with. And so that's basically what I do, is I'll use a rough part and then a smooth part. I don't really use this thing much anymore, nor do I use this, which is a smooth smith stone, by the way. I think this is a dry stone, if I'm not mistaken. I've had this one since 99 or probably 2001, I want to say. But this Harbor Freight, it's just one of those. It's got your different grits when you spin this around. And what I learned about these diamond stones through that same YouTube channel is that you use oil on them. He says it's a bad idea, but a lot of people do. I can't afford anything expensive, so I just use WD-40 oil on it, like that. And to sharpen, you take your blade, use this one a lot, more companion. You find your angle. Each one has a different angle. I should have my book to explain it, but you have sharp angles and shallow ones. I couldn't tell you all the numbers, but the more it's short, it's like that, it's gonna hold an edge longer. If it's like that, it's gonna be sharper, but it's gonna be more delicate and bend easier because it's thinner at that point. This is, I believe, a Scandi grind on this, which is more like that, but it gets ground just straight like that, and the 2 points just meet. There's no micro bevel where it has an extra angle on that first one, so it just a straight grind to that edge. And I think I do put micro bevels on this one. Actually, I might stop doing that. And anyways, when you sharpen, you find your angle, and my grandpa told me to just go against the blade, even though some say that gets your shavings under the blade, which can nick it up and ruin your edge, but he said that always worked better for him. I know your steel hardness affects that, the quality and all that, it does. And there's also a stone versus ceramic or whatever, but that's what he taught me. I personally always go like this. You go from one side to another. Others might go 5 strokes before they switch sides. And you can go in circles. Sometimes I do that if I'm not sure how I want to do it, because you're kind of ending up in both directions, back and forward, if you go in circles. But you go until you have your edge. You can work your way down to lesser grit. This is actually hard to get in and out of here. It looks like it's falling apart too, but that's a 600, so I'm going to move it down to the 400. Put some oil on it. Like that again, and I should have some paper here. I don't, because I didn't think of that when I made this video. Hold on 1 second. So then what you can do is what was I gonna say? Oh, get something more like your ceramic, which is very fine at the end, and you just go like that. This is just a big giant ceramic rod. They're smaller ones, but like that, right? And eventually it should be pretty sharp. I'll go a little more with that. And then actually go this way. You can see that ripped a little on that first part, so I may get it a little sharper, but there it did a pretty clean cut. Like that. Paper isn't great for your blades, but it's good for demonstration videos. And there's a belief that your knife should always be razor sharp, and I think that'll help keep it useful longer, but it will tend to get used, and therefore it's not always gonna be razor sharp, and it doesn't need to be to do a job. So that's my opinion, but you do want to keep rust off of a blade. This one is stainless steel, so it's not as big of a deal, but if you have a carbon knife like this French Opinel, you tap it on the table to pop that open a little, and then you can kind of work it open like that. And then with a twist lock, it locks in place. But if you want to keep rust off of it from like a carbon steel knife like this, you rub some wax on it. My beeswax is all dried out, so I'm using this paraffin. It'll help protect it from water. But this one, I believe, is pretty sharp. Yeah, there we go. It's all about the way you go at the paper, I've noticed. The way you hold your paper. Yeah, that went really well. But this has a very steep angle. I don't know what kind of grind it is. There was a video of a guy talking about it. But you can't even see the there's a glare on my screen, so I can't see what's on camera. But I can't even see any grind on there. And speaking of sharpeners, though, there are also these steels here, which just take out the nicks of your blade, is what a sharpening steel is for. It's best to hold it against the table to have a more consistent angle instead of shaking your rod around when you're using it. But you'll see guys doing that in kitchens, and that's an alternative to a ceramic rod, but actually more traditional. For a blade, you can also use these, which there's flexible versions now that adapt to your blade's angle, but it's basically the same as these steels, and you just run it through. I don't even know if I think it goes on this side, but I don't use these anymore. And you can hold it against the edge of your table when you do it. Don't even know what these are called, by the way. But the wood carving knives, or like chip carving, I believe it's called, you have like these chisel pieces, right? This one's got a bit of a curve, so it's different, but you just kind of roll it as you sharpen it on a smaller stone like this. I think this is a fairly medium grit stone. And I use it to carve like my bowls that I was showing in another video. That's not on the table now. But that's what I do with these, is I use the smaller stone. And so I believe that's what I had to say about sharpening. Those are my different blades, my different stones, and thank you.